Social media. I think that when you're desperate in the field of sales, that's an adverse thing. While desperation may take your effort up and that may make you chime in, people seldom buy from desperate salespeople. I worked with a guy years ago, we'll just call him JJ, and that's he was never called that, but I just don't want to say his name. And this guy was just brutal, telling customers, I have this company on the way buying 40. I have that company on the way buying 7. And you just want to buy one. I really don't have the time. I was doing you a favor meeting with you. And while all of that sounds so crazy, the people were enamored to purchase from them. And they would wait to be talked bad to. Now, while I don't suggest that for your business mantra, what he never sold from a place of desperation. You gotta work hard enough. You gotta cast your net wide enough that you have enough prospects in your pipeline that you never have to sell from the place of desperation. In offering your products, your good, or your service, in the consultative sales process, sooner or later, you'll find out that your offer may not be best for the client involved. And when you discover that, they will be more appreciative when you're able to tell them what are the shortcomings of your product versus their particular concern or whatever, because there's not a one size fit all with any product or any solution. And I've had more than enough times where people did business with me when I went over what the shortcomings were and what they were not, and they did business anyway. You can never sell from a place of desperation. I know in sales it's all about results, it's all about production, it's all about what numbers you're putting on the board. But you got to make sure that you definitely cast your net wide enough that you don't sell from a place of desperation. When the prospect in front of you is your only prospect, your only means, and you have a small pipeline, you're going to sell with an added sense of pressure that's often going to turn the client off. I know a guy, I think people like buying from successful people. Years ago in the car business, when I had a pretty good business at that time, but I was not working by appointment. And who would have thought that a car salesman would work by appointment? But a guy told me, he said, Steve, until you value your time, clients won't. And once I started setting appointments, my business went through the roof. So you can just never sell from a place of desperation. You got to do whatever generally certainty transfers, whether that be the client transferring their emotions that they're not going to buy, or that becomes you that, hey, whether you buy or not, I love what I do, I'm in this space, I do what I do, and I'm going to be doing it tomorrow. A lot of times, that's what convinces clients to purchase from you. I've been in sales, hardball belly-to-belly sales before, where the closer is esteemed, and often it's a closing tool when you have someone in a closing situation and you take it back from them. And I'm not saying that necessarily has to be that, because everybody's not in belly-to-belly retail sales, but you have to be in a position where you're not so desperate for the sale that you don't look out for your client's best needs. Win-win is the formula to sales success. The client is not going to be enamored for a win for you and a loss for them. So you got to make sure that you never become that person that's so desperate that you see this month's bills and this month's all your personal responsibility, all the mail with the windows that you're getting at your house. That's not the client's responsibility. You have to be able to look objectively and say what would be a win for the client. And when you are tuned in to what would be a win for the client, you don't ever have to worry about your own needs being met. You got to look out for what's best for them. So you got to make sure that you never become desperate in sales. Desperate salespeople generally don't talk to enough people, don't offer their products to enough persons to have a good working balance between. You got to give yourself, you got to load up on opportunities for wins. And when you only are talking to a few people, your opportunities for wins are so diminished. I don't want you to be a desperate salesperson. When you're desperate, you lose options. When you're desperate, you're not as appealing. When you're desperate, you'll take a shortcut. When you're desperate, you're not looking out for the client's best interests. Folks, do what you got to do. Working hard means setting yourself up for success, giving yourself more opportunities to win. Because in that funnel, that sales funnel, you have many. The best thing to do is have many suspects and let them travel through that funnel until they become a prospect. And when you have enough prospects, you'll start winning. But you got to have a whole lot of suspects. I just don't ever want you to sell from a place of desperation. I've done it before, and it's not fun. Just the desperate salesperson usually will cut a corner, not look out for the client's need, or exert too much pressure at a situation that should be a win-win. When you can intelligently explain your offer without a heightened sense of pressure, then something's wrong. Just make sure that you're never that desperate salesperson. Have an awesome day.